Good evening, my name is Yusuf and you are watching a summary of my new space weather video. We are today the 24th of May 2021. Okay, let's dig into it. As you all know or may not know, there is a couple of CMEs heading our way. One will reach us the 25th and the other one the 26th. What happened is basically there is a CME, multiple CMEs, and we will be impacted by one of them, and another one will send this plasma over here. It pushes it underneath that other CME, and we will have actually a double impact. This is on the 25th, basically almost at the end of the day, 19 UTC, and then it will be sustained, and at 1 in the morning on the 26th we will start to enter that solar wind which got pushed by this particular CME. So we will have actually a frontal impact, a massive wall of density, a sudden impact, and then we will probably enter in a solar wind of different direction and density. This could indeed spark a G2 storm, because there is a G1 storm which has been predicted for the 25th, for tomorrow, when the initial impact happens here at the beginning. But also a G2 storm the 26th, and this is when we reach this part of the solar wind. This could be possible because this is evidently going to be an unstable solar wind with different directions, and the question remains whether the BZ component will be tilted southwards or not. If it does, and if it does so in a major way, we will have auroral activity, we will have a G2 level storm, and thus also the associated quake activity, increase in seismicity, and maybe also in weather events and volcano eruptions. When you look at the solar wind for today, everything looks pretty stable. So the question really remains whether or not that impact has solar wind pointing in different directions and having different densities or not. Looking at the ace theta, we still see spikes of proton density, sudden spikes, which affect basically everything: temperature, speed, phi angle, even the BZ component, and the magnetic field. So these could be either a weakness in our magnetosphere, which is recurrent, or something pulsating in space, as I already mentioned it. Looking at the magnetosphere simulation, we see I saw again the same anomalies, but with data that disappeared when it happens. So this is the first one. We see again the inner energy belt connecting to the bow shock. And then when it gets interesting, I had honestly the feeling that the data would just disappear. And it did, ladies and gentlemen, it did. Not much, but as you can see, more than half an hour disappears, and just when something happens, and I will show you what happens. What NASA doesn't want you to see is basically this. This is self-explanatory. The energy from the bow shock gets siphoned into the inner belts, and then all that energy disappears. So there's clearly conductivity, but of course data is missing. I can't tell you 100% for sure what is happening, but if you looked my previous videos, then you know we had similar events, and there's clearly a relation between that inner current belt and the bow shock. So this is conductivity, nothing else. But what struck me actually, this is not really new, this happens a lot, is that it happened again. And believe it or not, let me just, it's not easy to, because it happens, yes, I think it's there, 4.35, yes, and then it jumps again. There it is. So it happens again a few hours later. Interestingly enough, let me just go back, because I do believe, when did this happen again? I think it was, yes, it was here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, different timestamps, 22 UTC on the 23rd. Then yes, the next day it happened. It was at around 5 UTC, and I do believe it also happens a third time, believe it or not. So this is a few hours later, and I think it's around 9 UTC today. There it is. And the signature is always the same, the pattern is always the same. The bow shock, the energy of the bow shock gets siphoned or conducted to that inner belt. And if we look at the other simulation, we see prior to the event conductivity before it happens. So this is actually a way to find these yourself. If you see that energy is starting to conduct, yeah, you can see it clearly, and all of a sudden data is missing. So I'm going to show this one last time. This is what you have to be looking for. When this happens, you know something is going to happen, because this is basically showing the inner electron belt connecting to the bow shock, current being conducted. I can't tell you whether it is current that flows from the bow shock to that inner belt or the other way around. But I think, yes, energy goes from the bow shock, because we see at the end of the event that the bow shock, the pressure is diminished. This suggests that this is actually flowing in this direction, not like this, because you might be tempted to think otherwise, but I really do think it flows in this direction, from the bow shock to this inner belt. And yes, NASA doesn't want you to see what happens when these events take place, because always either half an hour or complete hour, or even in some cases more than 4 hours goes missing prior to the event. So basically they cut before the event and a little bit after the event, but it is still visible nonetheless. Yes, this is the NASA simulation, and here actually it hasn't been updated. We don't see those other CMEs, so this is pretty useless now. This is the CME tracker. Let me just put it, don't know what day this is, 23rd, yes. Now this is actually interesting. We can see those CMEs that actually popped off the sun. Has to load. Let us check it. Hop. Yeah, so there were two fast CMEs, one after the other. So tomorrow upon impact, yeah, we could have solar wind from different densities in different directions. There is actually a bigger signature in the Schumann resonance, and as you all know, this is important because it covers the low frequencies, which are the same as the human brain, exactly the same, but also our entire body. So this can affect mood, but also emotional states and even physical states. And then I mean by this globally, not just in one particular region. Looking at the earthquakes, we see no major earthquakes, and this is actually normal, because if I look at the KP index, we see very low values, almost hovering at 1 KP. So naturally, you're not going to see any major earthquake, but this will change tomorrow, especially when that G1 storm starts. And if we reach a G2 storm, it will be short-lived, but seismicity will definitely increase afterwards. Yellowstone is still showing a little bit of activity in Moose Creek and, let me see, Pitchstone Plateau. Not much, but it's there nonetheless, and I'm guessing these are just small earthquakes in these two particular regions, so I thought it might be interesting to show this again. This is it, people. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe in order to actually see the content. Otherwise you will actually miss my future videos. You can also hit the like button. I will cite the philosophical quote as usual, and then I will thank you for watching the video, and we take our leave as usual. So, number 45. Who aims at excellence will be above mediocrity. Will be above mediocrity, yes. He who aims at mediocrity will be far short of it. So always aim higher than your original goal, because what you will achieve in life will be less than what you actually expected. And then you will be disappointed if you already set something mediocre, a low, not a goal which doesn't exceed your capabilities. You will be disappointed because what you will reach will be far lower than what you have set in your mind. This is it. Thank you for watching the video, and I guess we see each other next time.